Well, good day to everyone, and thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend some time with us here at Manage Engine. I think we actually have a pretty good webinar today, and for those of you that know, we actually have a security series that's going on, and this is our first installment. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Again, I know that time is valuable to you as administrators and security professionals, so thank you so much for taking your time today to listen to what we have to say. I think we have a pretty compelling topic today, which we're going to be talking about how we can track modifications that occur in Active Directory, and from tracking those modifications, be alerted to the actual details of what has been modified within Active Directory. Very important for administrators to be able to know this so that we can not only know who has access, but what changes are occurring in case service accounts or services fail or anything else. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. We'll be going into some details. As far as logistics, I will be your moderator as well as your speaker today. However, I do have some other co-workers working with me in the background answering questions. So if you do have any questions as we go through, please use your GoToWebinar panel, and there should be a question area there, and you can post your questions, and those will be answered as we go through the material by my co-workers. So please, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. If for some crazy reason we can't get to all the questions by the end of the webinar, we will be sending out the answers to you in email. With regard to email, we are also recording this webinar, and we will be sending you a link to the recording in the next couple of days. The reason that's important is we go through a lot of information in these webinars, and I don't want you to frivolously be writing down notes on everything. So you will be getting a recording so that you can go back and review this. Also, I think it's important for others in your organization that maybe don't have the time to come to this webinar, or maybe they didn't think it was important to see the information in it, to have a link to the webinar so they can see the information as well. Our overall goal here at Manage Engine is to make sure that you get solutions that allow you to be more efficient in your daily administration of Active Directory. Not to mention, in the end, we have a more secure Active Directory and network environment. So those are some logistics for today. To give you a little bit of information on who you're actually listening to, my name is Derek Melber. I am the Chief Technology Evangelist here in the AD Solutions team at Manage Engine. And what that means is I get the great opportunity to tour the world, talking with administrators and organizations around the world about solutions related to Active Directory. Again, really we try to focus on being more efficient, automation, security, filling gaps and holes in knowledge around Active Directory. I am an MVP. My MVP was actually just renewed again. I think it's been 17 or 18 times now that I've been an MVP, both in Active Directory and in group policy. Some resources that I want to point out to you. We don't have a ton of time together today, so I want to make sure that you have some resources that are available to you. If you go to our main landing page, hover over support, you will see that there is a blogs entry, and this blog is something that you can actually come into, and you can do a search. Let's say you want to search on Active Directory, and you can get our dedicated blogs on Active Directory. I try to blog every week, and I also try to get some of my other team members to blog. So normally we have more than one blog occurring in any one time. So this is a great way for you to come see some things that we're writing about, talking about. Many times our blogs are answers to questions that I get from administrators around the world. So it's a great way for you to see what other questions are going on around the world. Another resource that I want to point you to is a very, very apropos resource based on our topic today. We have a dedicated web page for security hardening of Active Directory. So if you hover over products, go to the lower left-hand corner, you'll be able to come to this particular web page. And this web page was built just about 3 years ago. And the web page was built because of some technologies that Microsoft was trying to release. They actually did release them, but most administrators aren't aware of them. So we figured that they weren't aware of them because the technology wasn't really meeting their needs. So what we did was we built the website, and we actually put together a series of blogs and videos dedicated to the different areas of securing Active Directory, your domain controllers, and your Windows servers. And if you come in here and you click on, let's say, one of the particular blue bars, you'll have a variety of blogs and videos that will guide you through how to secure that area. So this is a wonderful site. Guarantee you're not going to have all this information in one site on any other place on the internet. So please take advantage of these resources that we have built for you, the administrator and the security professional, so that you can make sure that you have the knowledge to secure all the areas in Active Directory. Another resource I want to point you to is throughout our website, you'll see this little banner, and you'll see we wrote a dummies book on securing privileged access in Active Directory. Again, another appropriate type of topic for today's series. But if you click on this, you can download a free ebook. For those of you that are attending our user conferences and seminars, you actually get a live physical copy of this book. And it's an easy read. It's about 30 pages, but it guides you through the finer points of how to secure privileged access in Active Directory. Privileged access in Active Directory is not a one configuration item. It's actually a multitude of things that you must look at and configure. So the book kind of walks you through those different areas. And actually August 6th, we have a dedicated webinar on this particular topic. So please come and enroll in those as well. Another resource that I want to point you to is my email address, derek@manageengine.com. Please email me with questions, email me with problems, email me with different things. Because I'm an MVP, I know a lot of other MVPs. I actually know some people that work for Microsoft, and we can get you answers to things that you're looking for solutions for. So please email me, reach out, and I really pay attention to my email, trying to answer those questions. Some more things that I want to point two is our webinar series on security. As I mentioned, today is only the first one of 4. We actually have one tomorrow, and then we kind of move, because I have a couple of trips in between, to August 6th and 7th. And you'll see here that we are looking at securing privileged access, insider threats, endpoint security. We're really trying to touch all the different areas that you need to look at to secure your Active Directory and your Windows environment. So please go out to the website. You can go to our Manage Engine website, go to the bottom of the page, look for events, go to our webinars and sign up there. You'll also be getting emails about the signups, I'm sure. We will be at a Microsoft Ignite this year again. So please come to our booth. I will be there most of the week. Come shake my hand, tell me about the problems you're having, and hopefully we can fix some different things. Maybe I can show you some cool little tools or solutions while we're in the booth. Certainly I love to meet other administrators and shoot the bull around Active Directory and group policy whenever possible. So please come up, introduce yourself if you'll be at Ignite. A final thing I want to point you to for an event is our East Coast User Conference. It'll be in Chicago this year. We've actually been in New York the last couple of years, October 25th and 26th. You can go to our website to register. An amazing couple of days where you get to hear solutions around a variety of different things related to your environment, not just Windows, but your entire environment. It is a great way for you to engage with others that have similar problems and you're looking for solutions. You can talk one-on-one, see live demos, talk with a lot of other people that know Active Directory in your network, and really get solutions. So please come join us for that as well. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the material. What I want to do first is I want to show you how to set up the tracking of changes, because I can't just throw you into a webinar saying track the changes if you don't know how to do that. And then I'm going to walk you through 4 distinct examples of where you need to look for tracking of changes. These 4 examples are only 4 of probably 20 different things that I think you should track in Active Directory. So I just wanted to kind of nest some ideas for you on how you need to address your Active Directory environment, monitor the changes, and be notified of these changes so you know exactly what you have in an Active Directory, in your Active Directory environment. So let's first of all talk about setting up the tracking of changes. What do we want to track, or what objects do we want to track? In my opinion, everything. Not just users and groups. We want to know when an OU changes and it has maybe delegation set to it, or it has a new user that's located in it. We need to worry about group policy. We need to know the GPO settings when they change, because many of them are security related. They're control of your desktops and your users in the environment. The password policy, which of course is usually part of the group policy environment. All these things need to be tracked. And we need to look at the details. So we need to know all the details around what is changing. So we need to know who made the change, when they made the change. The only thing that I can't tell you is why they made that change. That would be beneficial. We haven't got to that technology yet, but certainly all the other details around where the activity occurred, which domain controller, where it stemmed from the client, all those things become extremely important. So how do we do this? Because this is a big task. I'm not going to lie. This is a monumental task for you to be able to track all the changes that are occurring in Active Directory down to this detail level. Well, believe it or not, all of this is set up using auditing, which is the technical term of the technology inside of Active Directory. A Windows environment supports auditing, or the tracking of changes, out of the box. It doesn't have it enabled out of the box, but it supports it out of the box. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to jump into group policy to do this. Now, I have a live Active Directory environment here, and if I go into my group policy management console, and I'm just going to open up one of my GPOs that I have configured here. So here's group policy management, and I'm going to dive into this particular GPO, which has some auditing set up in it. And you'll notice that here under your local policies, you have the audit policy. Now, this audit policy allows you to configure a multitude of different things that you want to track. Notice there's logons, there's account management, there's policy change, there's a whole variety of things that are in here. You'll notice that I have most of mine set up. Now, if you just want to track Active Directory changes, you don't need all of this auditing set up. If you want to know exactly which audit policy to set up to know what to track, I have a document for you. Email me, email anyone in the events team, and we'd be more than happy to send you a link to that document. It's right from our webpage, and it goes through all the details of what you need to set up for the audit policy to track the information. And you'll notice that each of these, and notice I only have success here, I can do success, failure, or both, or I can have nothing defined. So this is where you go to enable auditing, enable the tracking of what's going on. So inside of group policy, you need to go and configure the audit policy and target it towards your domain controllers. So notice that I'm saying configure the default domain controller or new one. I suggest a new one. And then you're going to go to this location in the audit policy to configure that. You're going to go through and set up what you want to define to track that behavior, what's going on in your environment. As I said, this isn't only about Active Directory. It's about your domain controllers. It's about your desktops. It's about your servers. You can actually track a lot of great information as you go through, okay? So this sets up the first step. Now, the second step is sometimes omitted. The second step is that you must also go in and set up what's called the SACL, the System Access Control List. Now, let me show you where that is. I have a screenshot here for you, but I actually want to dive into the operating system and show you where this is. Now, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go to Active Directory Users and Computers. I'm going to go to the top of my domain, and I'm going to go to my Properties, Security, Advanced, Auditing, and this is where you set up the SACL. Notice that I am tracking all of these different objects: users, contacts, OUs, groups, computers. You must go in here and tell the system, the actual file system, this is the database for Active Directory, that you want to track when things occur for that. So you must go into the security tab and then go into auditing to track this as well. You must select each property that you want to track. Now, when you get both of these things set up, what happens is that your system will immediately start tracking when anything occurs. So if I go into this OU and I create a new user, that'll be tracked. If I go into this particular group and I make a modification to the group, that'll be tracked. By default, all of this tracking goes into your security log and event viewer. So here's my security log. You'll see that I have about 134,000 events in this one, and all the information goes in here. You'll notice log-ons, log-offs. Down here, you'll probably see some different file system changes. So all of this information is being tracked. The problem is there is no way to mine the information out. So yes, we're tracking, we just don't have a tool to do it. But I can promise you, being able to monitor changes, run reports on those changes, and then be able to get alerts on those changes, the ones that are critical to you, is extremely simple to do. Let's first of all talk about securing privileged groups. Our first example. Now, what is a privileged group? I'm going to branch out and say that there's 3 different types of privileged groups. The first type of privileged group are built-ins: administrators, domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins, and the like. You also have groups that are related to applications or services that you install. You might have a SharePoint group. You might have an Exchange group. These groups are usually dedicated to administer that particular application or service that you install. Then you have custom groups. These are groups that you, the administrator, or someone at some point configured for your environment. These are the groups that I'm talking about. So for example, if someone goes into your Active Directory environment right now, okay? Someone goes into Active Directory, they come down here, and they go to the enterprise admins. They go to properties, members, and they add in a user. Now, this typically occurs from their endpoint. They remote in, however it occurs. I was talking to someone the other day. If I have 50 administrators, domain admins, and one of them makes this change, how are the other 49 notified? Don't they need to be notified? I mean, this is an enterprise admin. I need to know that this particular change occurred. Now, what I potentially could do is I could rely on this security log to give me the information. But notice I have all file system here. I'm looking for the one change that occurred in Active Directory. This is not an easy thing to do. I can't go in and do a search. There's no such thing as search. If I try to do a find, well, now I'm going to be trying, what do I search on? Because there's so many entries that are going to have similar words. So what I want is I want a solution that is going to give me the ability to track this change, as well as report on historical changes, and when the change occurs, notify me in real time. Now let's look at the first 2 options initially. I want to be able to have a tool that tracks the changes, and I can run a report on historical changes for that. So I'm going to come down here to report. This is a built-in report to ADAudit Plus, modified admin groups, and right here you will see that I already have the change that occurred just minutes ago already in the report. It tells me exactly what happened, who made the change, and where it occurred. Now, if I want a history of this, I can say in the last 6 months, I want to know all changes that occurred to enterprise admins, and there's my list. Look at that. Every change that occurred to enterprise admins over the 6 months, I have it. There were 63 changes. If I want a report of this, I simply come up and export this as a format that I want. The concepts here are very simple. ADAudit Plus is doing nothing more than leveraging what you are tracking in the security log. But instead of you being forced to somehow, some way pull the information out, ADAudit Plus just gives you the ability to run reports. So I'm monitoring the changes, and I can run reports on any changes occurred historically and give that report to someone else. Now, I usually look at ADAudit Plus as a two-pronged solution. Yes, it's excellent at generating reports. But for those of you that are on this particular webinar that are administrators, you know that a report doesn't help you much because it's too late. So what I want to stress for you, the administrator, is that when someone comes in and they make a change to a privileged group, like in this case, I'm now going to change schema admins. As soon as I hit this OK, I'm going to try as fast as I can to get over there. OK, I then go to ADAudit Plus. I've already sent you an alert telling you that schema admins changed. Now I want you to digest that. Think about that, administrators. When any critical group changes membership, you can receive a real-time alert through an email, through an SMS text, through the dashboard here, your choice, on when that occurs. The power of leveraging what is being monitored by sending you alerts will change the way you administer Active Directory. Guaranteed. Now, you're sitting there thinking, all right, I understand this, Derek. This makes sense. Okay, so I have domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins, but what about this special application that we have that ADAudit Plus doesn't know about? How do you add that group in? Not a problem. Watch this. I'm going to show you the ease of customization of ADAudit Plus. I go to the group modification, modified admin groups. This is a built-in report. I simply edit the report, I hit the plus sign, and I add in the groups that you want to monitor, and you're done. That's it. That's how simple it is. Your task is nothing more than to enumerate all of your privileged groups. And I've helped you by showing you that there are 3 different types of privileged groups in most environments, okay? So this is a way for you, the administrator, to be notified of when critical changes occur to privileged groups in your environment. For those other employees that need reports, you can generate a report for them as well. Awesome, awesome technologies. And we have to have some way of monitoring changes to critical parts of Active Directory, and privileged groups is one of them. Another one is when your users are under attack. If you have a rogue employee in your environment that is constantly trying to log on as other employees, how are you tracking that? How do you know that? I mean, let's say, for example, that you have an environment where you have an endpoint and you have a user on that endpoint trying to guess someone else's password. Let's say they're trying to guess administrator. Okay? Well, notice I've taken one step, which is to disable administrator. So they notice that. And then they say, well, okay, I want to log on as Derek. And they sit here and they try to log on as Derek. How are you made aware of that? Now, what about another user? Let's say Tom. Tom's on vacation. Tom somehow is being tried to log on. How is that occurring? Tom's on vacation. What I'm telling you is you need to have a tool that allows you to see these types of things that are going on. Here are my logon failures. Look at this, all my logon failures. I need to know when users are failing to log on. And we're not talking about Monday morning at 8 o'clock. What we're talking about is periodically when you are under attack, you need to have a system that is going to help you understand when your users are under attack. Now, typically, most of you have a lockout, right? So if we go back to the scenario, right, I'm going to go back to my environment here. Tom is currently disabled, okay? But let's pick a user that isn't disabled, that is active inside of Active Directory, that isn't locked out. And I believe one of my users that we're going to use in this case is Patsy, okay? The username is incorrect. Now, if someone fails to log on as Patsy X number of times, what will happen to Patsy's account? In that case, and I think I just hit that threshold, Windows has this nice little system to kind of stall the attempts. This account right now, let's go down to my users, recently locked out users, and right there is Patsy. I just locked Patsy out. Don't you want to know in real time when your users have been locked out? This is a report helping you with that, but I can also set up details around sending alerts for this. So when users get locked out, right, here's Patsy, I now can send you emails. So this is a bad password, and then this account is disabled or locked out. Boom, you get an email telling you that account is locked out. You can go beyond this and actually get into details. Look at this. I actually have when executives are locked out. I have one when administrators fail to log on. I can look at administrators that have been locked out. So I can actually now produce reports and therefore alerts specific to when certain users in my environment fail to get logged in or they're potentially under attack. Let me show you. Here's my executives, Bill and Ron. Under executives, you'll see that I have Bill and Ron. Okay, I have Bill and Tom, but we're going to use Bill because Bill is part of execs, right? So right here's Bill. Make sure we know Bill's log on. Here's Bill's log on, right? Bill. So I'm going to come over here to my desktop. Anyone can do this, remember. So I'm going to try to log on as Bill. Bill is now locked out. You need to know that Bill is locked out. I already have an email in your inbox telling you that the executive was locked out. The power of a tool like this is immense because you can set up environments informing you something that certainly the security log is not going to be able to do. And the way that I do this is I set up reports. I give the reports certain profiles and actually thresholds. When those thresholds are met, it shows up in the report, and then I also have the alerts set up. You'll notice that I have a tremendous number of alerts set up based on my report. So here's executive lockout. When an executive's locked out, I'm going to send an alert. The details around this are very easy, and I can send email and SMS notifications when these things occur because the power is in what is being monitored. So I showed you earlier how to set up the monitoring. What I can't do using Microsoft is give you reports and give you alerts. That's why ADAudit Plus sits on top of your security log, allowing you to now see things that are occurring in the background that are nearly impossible to see otherwise. Now, other environments want to look at not only current, but recently locked out users because they want to see patterns. Well, we can provide that for you as well. We can actually go through and look at recently locked out users using the tools that I'm showing you here. So I can go in here and I can go to my user management, recently locked out users. Now, recently locked out users doesn't mean that they're currently locked out. If I want to see a list of users that are currently locked out, well, that's real time. That isn't history. So if I want to look at the users that are currently locked out, I'm going to go to ADAudit Plus, which allows me to run reports on the current live Active Directory environment. And I can look at locked out users. And here I can see a list of all of my locked out users. Notice the 2 that are locked out, the 2 that are just locked out. And it happened because of the bad password count. I hit the threshold, right? And my threshold, if I do a secpol on my domain controller, I can see that my account lockout policy is 4. So whenever I hit that, my users get locked out. The key here for you, based on security, is you need to know when this occurs in real time. No one on this webinar has time to go through and look at reports to determine when users are locked out. So this is something that we need to have sitting on top of the monitoring so we know when things are occurring, okay? Now, I can also do this based on group membership. You'll notice that I had one for executives, I had one for administrators. This is where we get the power of what's going on in the background. Now, what's interesting is recently in the last year, someone said that they had a lockout threshold of 5 bad passwords. And someone patiently went through and they were trying 4 attempts. They would try 4 attempts and then wait, try 4 attempts and then wait. They would never lock out the account. Well, how many times are your users going through a process of trying 4 attempts and waiting 30 minutes over and over again? Rarely. So what you can do is you can set up, as I have done here in ADAudit Plus, the ability to actually trigger when these types of things are occurring, because I can set up thresholds and I can look for slow password attacks. So when I see the behavior, it's really a SIM solution, and I set up the rules, the SIM solution can then alert me of when someone is patiently trying to break in to my environment. So the ability for you to set up a variety of different views and alerts on what is happening in the back end of Active Directory becomes extremely powerful. What else can we do? Well, we can actually look for group policy changes. Now, group policy changes may not be the attack concept, but certainly for those of us that know group policy, one change can destroy your entire environment. I mean, how many GPOs do you have? 10, 50, 100? What if a single setting in a single GPO changes? How would you know that? I mean, let's say, for example, that I come in here to your group policy environment and I go through the list of GPOs, right? Here are my list of GPOs. And let's say that I just pick one randomly. I edit that. And then I come in here to policy settings and I pick a security setting and I just randomly pick one and modify it. How would you know that that occurred? The power of having a tool that monitors this is essential. Say, for example, let's go back and I'm going to modify my account lockout threshold. Okay, right here is my account lockout threshold. Oops, it's not in this one. I thought it was in this one. Hold on. I would swear it was in this one. Hold on one more second. Let's see. Let's go to settings. Let's take the easier approach with this. Let's go to my security settings. Let's go to my account policies. And it is not set up in here. I didn't think I had it set up in here. Maybe I do. Account lockout, it's right here. So I'm going to go to my default domain policy. Doesn't have to be in here, remember. And I am going to modify this to 10. Okay? When that changes, how in the world do you, the administrator, know that changed? Are you telling me that you think that you're going to be able to refresh this and you're going to be able to see that? Come on. There's no way. There's no reporting. this becomes a very delicate situation and a very complex task. What I need, what I want, what is required as an administrator is you need to have some way, something telling you that that occurred. Now, you'll notice this has, group policy has a little bit of a lag, but you'll notice right here, I already have it in my report. All 80 changes right here. Now, I'm going to have an alert show up. I may not even have an alert on this one. This one's just showing up, but I can set up an alert telling you, but you'll notice right here, it was modified. Now, I have different reports that I can rely on. I can come down here to my advanced GPO reporting. I can look at account lockout policy changes, and right here, you'll notice that I already have it detailed, and it went, this one went from 25 to 4, so where's the other one? Let's see if I can do a refresh. This sometimes group policy versus some of the other settings take a little bit of time. But again, the idea is that we need to have these settings in pretty good time. So that was less than, what, 2 minutes? 4 to 10 attempts. Boom, I'm ready. Now, tell me that you have a tool that can tell you the old value of what the GPO setting used to be. I don't think you do. The power of monitoring and alerting is invaluable to you as an administrator. You must be able to report on historical values and be alerted on when these key changes occur. Inside of ADAudit Plus, as I just showed you, we have a variety of different reports across all of your group policy settings, even group policy preferences. I mean, if I go to group policy preferences and I want to know over the last 6 months changes that occurred, boom, there's one of them right there. Tell me that you can do this. Tell me you don't need this. Anyone dealing with group policy know the change in group policy may not rear its head for a day, a week, even a month. So you need to have a tool that you can go back in time to tell you when things have changed and tell you exactly what changed with that setting. The power of the tool becomes invaluable for you, okay? Now, another area, service accounts. I actually just saw a question come through with service accounts. How do you know when service accounts change? Well, first of all, you have to know your service accounts, right? Don't you need to know your service accounts? Of course you need to know your service accounts. So what we have done is we have built for you a free tool. I love free tools, especially when they're useful. ADAudit Plus free tools, right here, service account management. We give the ability not only to look at service accounts, but for you to inquire about your managed service accounts. For service accounts like managed service accounts, you select your machines, and then you go and get those service accounts. Whichever machines you select, it'll go to those machines, and it will go and get every single service account and the service on where that's configured. Now, this list has a lot of stuff we don't care about, right? What we care about are the actual users that are service accounts. So we give you a filter. Please go download our free tools. They are awesome and they're powerful. Now, from there, what I need to do is I need to go in and I need to set up something that is going to help me track service accounts. Now, you do have to create a custom report for this. I've already done it. Let me show you how easy it is. Configuration, users, service accounts. I've just created this. I filled out a name. I said I wanted it to be for users. I said I wanted to know if anything changes by hitting checks, and then I added my service accounts. Meaning that now I have a report for service accounts, and I have a setup alert for this. So watch this. If someone goes into any of my service accounts and they toggle it in any way, right? In any way, because I selected all those options, I already have an alert telling me that that occurred. This is powerful stuff, I'm telling you. I am absolutely telling you that an alerting tool, alerting you of Active Directory changes, will change the way you administer Active Directory. There's no question. It is an extremely powerful tool, giving you insight into things that you never thought were possible before. For my service accounts, I certainly can come and look at all service accounts that have been modified over the last 30 days, telling me the details on what occurred with that service account. If I want to run a report, all of our reports are exportable to PDF, comma delimited, HTML, giving you the power to control what is happening. We have to know when service accounts change. If someone right now were to go into your service accounts and they were to just modify a service account, do you know which services would be affected? How would you be notified? I'm going to assume an end user is going to call you and tell you that something's not working. Take advantage of the free tools. Take advantage of leveraging the tracked information so that you now can get a solution telling you when these things change. So in our short time together, we've gone over a lot of powerful information. I showed you how to set up auditing. From the setting up of the auditing, you layer ADAudit Plus on top of that, and it becomes your reporting and alerting tool. I showed you how to report and alert on all of your privileged groups, even those that ADAudit Plus doesn't know about. I showed you how to track attacks against your users, track GPO changes and be alerted on them, as well as when your service accounts change. Now, what I'm going to encourage you to do from here is go back to our website, okay? Go to our security hardening under products, and I want you to take each of these blue bars and I want you to secure it by monitoring and alerting. Every one of these helps you, guides you through how to do this. I can do it with local groups on your local users and groups on your servers. Your users, making sure they're secure, your groups, user rights, delegation, all these things. These things you need to track and be alerted on when they change. If you can do this, you have an extremely solid Active Directory security platform. You know when anything changes in your environment. This is the power of monitoring and alerting for Active Directory changes. Now, I saw quite a few questions come through. I want to thank my coworkers for answering those as we went through. If for some reason those of you that asked questions didn't get the answer that you wanted, or most likely you had another question, please, that's my email address. Email me. Any questions that you have, email me. We will be sending you out a link to a recording of this webinar in the next couple of days. Keep an eye out for that. Also, ADAudit Plus, here's a challenge to you. Another challenge. I'm going to leave you with this challenge. I want you to come to our website, go to ADAudit Plus, and as soon as you get to this point, start a timer. Okay? Appropriate, there's a timer here. Start a timer. I want you to download, install, configure, and get an alert of an AD change. I guarantee you can do it in less than 30 minutes. The power of the tool is enormous. It's extremely powerful, giving you information that you never thought was possible before. So with that, that's your last task for this webinar that I'm going to give you. I want to thank you for your time. I really hope that this was valuable information for you, and you come back tomorrow and you come back in early August for our other security webinars. I hope to see you in Chicago. I hope to see you at the Microsoft Ignite event that's coming up. If I don't see any of those, hopefully I see you at some time live in the future. Again, thank you for your time. I want to thank my colleagues. I want you to have the best rest of your day. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your summer. And until tomorrow, when I see you all again, this is Derek Melber for the rest of the AD Solutions team. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.